What's up, Adam?
Ooh. What's up, everybody? Hello?
I'm Peter Martin.
What's going on? I'm Adam Maness.
What's going on? Bam! There we go.
What's
That
up?
was the intro.
That was the
You
intro.
forgot about the intro.
Oh, man.
I mean, we had a Doppio intro, so it's all good.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. How's everybody doing today? We are live on YouTube. This
Yes.
is a live recording of the You'll Hear It podcast. Thanks, everybody, for joining us today.
Good to see everybody. Good to see you, Adam.
Good to see you, Peter.
Good to be seen.
It's good looking good in here, man.
It is.
I feel like you've, like,
It's getting. I mean, it's getting there.
I don't know if the viewers can see, but there used to be a whole pit of snakes over here that was
we
very
did now it's just this one big snake here.
asps, very
Yeah.
dangerous. And now there's really nothing there. So thanks for
It's
making
starting
it
to
look.
come together. Starting
Yeah.
to come together.
Looks good in here.
So, if this is your first time here, where you been? You know what I'm saying? Come on. This is You'll Hear It Monday. So we do this as a personal pick-me-up for each other, but as just a gathering place to get the week out started right, you know, on a listening note, on a musical note, because it's Monday. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Mondays don't have to be Mondays, though. Mondays can be happy. We're happy up in here.
I'm very happy. Someone says happy post Thanksgiving. That's Joe. And I'm always happy a little post Thanksgiving. It's my favorite time of year right now. Between Thanksgiving and Christmas. You know what I
Yes.
mean? Just as a child, just the anticipation, the build of the holidays. You see crazy relatives that you never used to see. Well, we're not seeing really anybody now.
No.
But I love this time of year, man. December is my month.
It's a love lovely time of the year. That's not how that goes.
No.
It's the most wonderful time of the year. Okay. All right. So let's talk real quick. As it were, we have our check-ins, but why don't we talk first about how was your Thanksgiving?
Thanksgiving
we haven't
was-
seen each other since Thanksgiving. Right?
Yeah. Thanksgiving was cool, man. You know,
Okay.
we did it really chill. We always host Thanksgiving. We always have about 25 people over at our place.
Uh-huh.
And obviously we couldn't do that this year because we live in a tiny house. So like even on a normal time, you feel like, whoa, we might start some kind of pandemic in here because everybody's crammed in, right? So yeah, this year we just did just the people that we have been living, just me and Heather and the kids. But Heather made dinner for my parents, her mother, and I ran them all around. And then we did a little Zoom thing afterwards,
Okay.
which was really, really nice. And then we watched some movies afterwards, and you know, we just had a little lovely night. It was killing. Food
See any
was
good
great.
movies? We should add a segment on movies sometime.
So during the shutdown, we've been doing little Maness family film festivals where we'll do a whole series. We've done Star Wars. We've done all of the Marvel Avengers movies. We've done, we just finished all the Harry Potter movies in a row, which was fun.
If your kids are too young, we call that Scary Potter, you know.
Yeah, it gets really dark. And then just last night, we started what we're going to call the Maness Family Holiday Film Festival. We started with Home Alone.
Oh, that's a classic.
It's a classic, and we'll probably
Joe Pesci, great jazz singer. Did you know that?
I did. He made a record with Joey D.
Exactly. Couple Philly guys,
I
couple
know,
Philly
man.
Italians.
Amazing.
Yeah.
And then yeah, so we'll do like a holiday film festival here on out. Maybe some Elf, maybe some
The world's greatest cup of coffee. Come on.
That's right. Congratulations.
So positive.
It's a wonderful
If he
life.
has one fault, it's that he's too positive.
That's his big. That's the movie. You just
movie.
described the plot of the movie.
Right. Cool. All right. Well, since it was a holiday week, a little bit, I'm a little almost afraid to do this, but a little fitness check-in. Where you at? Where you at on your fitness check-in?
Man, so again, I am plant-based before 5 p.m. every day, and then I'm fully plant-based on Mondays. That's been good stuff. And I'm really, you know what it is? I'm getting old.
Is it like a vampire thing at 5 o'clock? Because it gets dark at 5 o'clock now. Is that a carnivorous side of you comes out at 5? Or is that
the wolf that comes out? I got to eat some chicken heads. No, it's just because I don't want to trouble Heather with making, you know, like Heather likes to make dinner every night, so I don't want to trouble her with, you know, going plant-based just because I'm going. I try to be sensitive to that kind of stuff. You know how it is.
Sure.
And then, man, I don't know about you. You run, see, but you are such a good runner.
Let's not exaggerate. Okay.
I've switched over from like on my exercise routine. Anything that's too strenuous, I'm like, I'm out. I can't do it. And maybe it's because I'm 41, but like I'm not going to lift weights. I'm not going to run. I've just been walking and doing yoga. I feel amazing.
Man, there's nothing not scary about doing yoga.
I've gone from just everything being like I'm just hammering everything in my fitness routine and everything's like this or whatever to just being nice and like open and loose. It feels great, man.
Good.
Yeah.
Good stuff. Cool. Well, you know what? We got a bunch of questions, so why don't we jump in a little bit prematurely? Not prematurely. That's what we're here. We are here to serve and to answer some questions. And it looks like we may have some new members too. So Open Studio, did you know that we had the largest influx of new members over the past week than we've ever had since the inception of this endeavor? So it's a very exciting time around here.
I've heard rumors. That's really, really cool, man.
Yeah.
And
so we like to thank you guys and welcome any if we do have any new folks on here to the Open Studio family, as it were. And you know, the most exciting thing I think about this journey has been the podcast, the courses, the community of artists. You know, we've got let's see if we can see here. We have Christian McBride and Sean Jones. We're being socially distanced, but we're bringing them into the studio with us nonetheless. But also our new members from around the over 130 countries. I couldn't believe it when I saw that list because I was like, I couldn't name 130 countries. I don't think I could name 30 countries. You'd have to press me to do that. But we have members in over 130 countries and a really fun and cool and supportive community now. So we're here to help each other. But today we are here to answer some questions if you have them. So do you see something that you like?
I see a bunch of things.
Monsieur Adam Maness.
I just want to reiterate what you said in that it's been really fun building this with you and Dan and everybody and Brian and Rachel and Sam and the whole team here, and just so proud of everything.
Yeah.
And I think what's really exciting is, you know, with each year that we do this, we grow the community. We get to know the community better through YouTube now, through, all the things that we do on our site. So here's to more of that, man. Here's to a 2021 full of connection and music. You know what I'm saying? So we got a lot of stuff here. Quentin says right at the top, watched your video on playing in all 12 keys last night. Cool stuff. One thing I was wondering about was how you would approach learning ahead in all 12 keys. Maybe another way to ask my question is, would you do anything special like learn the melody first, just the chords, just sections, just the licks? So nothing special for learning tunes in multiple keys or all 12 keys. I mean, I think the most special thing is the intention to do that. That's really all you need to do is set that intention and then do it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
absolutely.
And we've preached before about learning tunes like this. Like, you also don't need to get clingy about like, I've got to learn this in all 12 keys before I move on. You know what I mean? Right. You can learn it in 3 or 4.
I like that, clingy.
Totally.
Don't be a Klingon.
Don't be a Klingon. And here's the thing about practicing things in weird keys is sometimes you're going to go back to that a year or 2 later, and it's not like you have, just because you practiced Have You Met Miss Jones for a day in G flat means that you can do that. The idea is that you're just constantly working in these weird keys and that it gets easier and easier and easier. So it's always something to go back to. So don't worry if you don't have it, is what I'm saying.
Exactly. And then this is very much a process-driven activity for ear training, for expanding your palette of available keys to play in, and just the way that you hear intervals and the relationship between root movements and melodies and improvisation. So many wonderful things you can learn. But like, wait, was that Oh yeah, Have You? I was like, did I play a different tune? I thought it was okay. That was Have You Met Jones. So when the goal is to be able to play at all 12 keys eventually. But in terms of approach, I like to think about it. Get it in the original key or whatever key you're going to learn it in first at a very intuitive base level. So that might be just, if you're at the piano, just the melody and the root. I love a melody and a root, right?
I do know you love that, that's very telling, all you people out there.
So you've got that. And then the next place you go, there's many different ways to think about it, but why not go to the easiest place for you? So what would that be for you, Adam? Like if you were going to go to your first key, leaving F in this case, for Have You Met Miss Jones, where would you go?
I'm a circle of fourths kind of guy.
Okay. Circle of fourths is good. Because but something pattern based, right?
Circle I would. Yeah. I would take it there, or chromatic. You've gotten me more on the chromatic idea.
Yeah. I think chromatic's more of an advanced kind of approach, though, a little bit. Because, like, if you really know this in F, probably, as you say, the B flat, or maybe circle of fifths.
Yeah. To go down to C or up to C.
Yeah. Those are going to be the closest in terms of key. So you're going from 1 flat to 2 flats, or 1 flat to no flats. So, it kind of depends on how your mind works. It's possible that for some people, chromatic, but usually, sometimes even like going from 1 flat to 1 sharp, that can be interesting. So you go to.
So you take it up in.
That's actually not that easy. Sorry.
I was going to say, it's kind of hard. So you go from 1 flat to 1 sharp.
Yeah, that's hard.
And then 2 flats. So you basically are working your way out. That's crazy.
Yeah.
Wait, no. Yeah. That's cool.
Yeah.
I like that. One flat, 1 sharp, 2 flats, 2 sharps.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool.
So that would probably be a more challenging way. But yeah, I would say circle of fourths or circle of fifths, which is really just going up a fourth or going up a fifth. Take your time with it, and then really try to make some connections and some pattern recognition as you're going through this. So you also want to think about, like, so Have You Met Miss Jones, for instance. You want to get your major scale diatonically where you are, because this is, a lot of standards are so diatonically based.
Yeah.
It's not until you get there that you're leaving that diatonic. So you go to B flat. You want to really get your B flat going, right? And then and it's the same with the root movement. All diatonic. So you want to really get your major scale, know what you're doing wherever you're starting.
Ooh, yeah.
Something like that.
That's great. So, yeah, just like that, Quentin. DK says, I've noticed that melodic minor set works with fourth step in the bass. I guess the fourth in the bass. Example, a G melodic minor set, and the C is the lowest voice. How to use it? Is it an additional dominant set? So DK, yeah. So this is typically the Lydian dominant, right? If you have a C and you're using a G melodic minor, right? This is what you would use over a C7, a C dominant 7 sharp 11, this scale. Now, I like that you're thinking about it like this, because I often think of like a Lydian dominant in the terms of the melodic minor. We've talked about this. It's a little bit of a difference in how you can think about it. Because then you can do all these broken seventh chords. If you know your broken seventh chords, thirds, arpeggios, all that stuff. And that's all over C7, sharp 11. Oh, look at this. Chordies up. And really with the melodic minor scale, there's so many great shapes. We just went over this in the Daily Guided Practice session. Like, if you start our melodic minor here, so we'll keep on C7 sharp 11, right? If you start here, let's start at C, and you make triads, right? It's so cool because you have major triad C major triad D major, diminished triad E diminished, diminished triad F sharp, minor, and then what we call the interlude chord, the augmented. So it's like major, diminished, minor, and then one augmented, and you're back to the C.
And I just want to make, this is such a great thing to use. I want to make sure everybody, because you went through it quickly, just to reiterate, make sure everybody understands this. These are the triads that are layered on top. You're moving up diatonically on the G minor melodic ascending minor scale, but I like to think about it as a Lydian dominant, right?
Right.
And so we're just moving up. Boom, boom, boom. And so we're not making up these triads. These are what are existing within that scale.
That's right.
Like breaking them up.
In the Lydian dominant scale, or that G melodic minor scale starting on C.
Because this concept, and you can take this to any scale. I mean, you can even do it over different diminished scales, although those are going to all be diminished triads. But breaking up triads like this can unlock such a foundation for great improvisation. Because a lot of this sounds like it's just improvised lines, but these are actually triads in different inversions.
Oh, it's like hypnus in a box. Once you kind of get into this, you know.
And you know what happens is sometimes people learn it first, and they're like, it sounds corny. Don't worry about it. Just start to get it in your fingers, get the sound in your ears, and then you can start to get to some of the more advanced inversions later on.
Hey, if you're liking this little YouTube
say what? No,
don't say wow. No, give us a little like there. Give us a little like. Let everybody else know. We're still going to be on here for another 43 minutes.
So not if we don't get 30 likes right now. We're not.
No, let's keep it going. Let's get some people in here.
You know what I'm saying?
The likes help out with getting a bigger room. And don't forget to leave your question here in the chat. Lots of great questions so far, so keep them coming.
Yep.
Cool.
It's sunny, 52 degrees in Las Vegas. What's up, Rich? Nice, 52. It snowed here. St. Louis this morning. Did you know that?
I know,
if you were up early, you saw.
It was so beautiful. So beautiful. Love it. Iggy Ziggy says.
Iggy. Don't you know?
Got a question.
Okay.
Just started watching Adam's Bill Evans guided practice session. This was my guided practice session right here on YouTube Friday. Was wondering if you have any tips on improvising over turnarounds, playing over quick chord movements. Because we were doing Bill Evans playing on Israel, and we were doing a very quick, like, at the end, right?
Yeah.
Like a really fast 1 flat 3 2 5 kind of situation. And so that could really work with anything at the end of anything. If you have a, how do you approach it? How do you approach it? How do you approach playing over quick turnarounds like that? Are you thinking each individual chord? Are you thinking just like key wise, or is it kind of a mix of all that?
Yeah, actually, I kind of try to use that same thing with the root movement to kind of pull things together. So, is this for any particular turnaround or just anyone?
Anything that where it moves fast?
Yeah.
You know, like,
so it's like trying to find some kind of pattern that you can turn into a melodic thing. Because what you don't want to say if it's moving fast because the tempo's fast, or or because you're like moving every 2 beats. So if we did that, let me see if we get chord. What? So C major 6/9, E flat 7, A flat major, right? Like, how do you make that sound? How do you make it not sound like you're moving that quickly? One thing is, don't segment the chords with what you're playing with your melody or your improvisation. So you're gonna be segmented in terms of the root move, the like actual movement of the chords. Although you can have a little bit of elasticity with that too. But with your solo line is really your opportunity to open things up. So it might be. Oops, that wasn't good. So you're looking at one line the same way as if you were improvising over C major. So you still want that direction. A lot of times people end up going like, they segment things and make it symmetrical, like they are a robot playing the turnaround, right? So also you can delay things. So like if you're going, I'm gonna just double it up and repeat it a few times.
Yeah.
So it sounded like I was getting lost. I wasn't. I was delaying things. I was delaying the inevitable. What's the tune? Like something like that. That's got a really long turnaround. So you got 4 bars. So that was kind of janky, but you have some time there. But you still don't want to like have it come out right on each chord, because you got to have some confidence that you're feeling where it is. So if it's like, come out on 2 or something, or and of 1 or something, and set up your melody too, like where you're not starting right on the beat. So you don't want it to be, everything is like because that's hip for like, what's the headbanger music?
Some thrash metal.
Some thrash metal, but not for this so much.
Yeah. I like the idea too. If you wanted to get a little bit, if you wanted to go slow with this, like if you're really having a hard time even understanding, how to make these lines, you can think about this idea of scale running. Really slow it down. So if we do the same C major 7, E flat major 7, were you doing all major chords?
Yeah. Well, I was doing dominant.
So dominant,
sus there, and then major,
and then major.
And then, like what you played, dominant.
Got it. So major, dominant, major.
Yeah.
So
it could certainly be major too.
C major 7, E flat dominant, A flat major 7, D flat dominant. So if you wanted to do some scale running on this, you could literally do as simple as this, and you could still do the things he was talking about, like delaying things.
Yeah.
Where you're switching your scale with the change. This is a great way to establish, like, okay, what are my note options over this? And also to start getting out of the box of like, that thing that he was talking about of the, right? You can start to connect it a little easier. You could also like limit your real estate. So maybe I want to do all of this within a 4th. You know what I mean? To where you're just like, oh, can I do all that within a 3rd or a 4th or whatever that is?
Yeah.
That's tough, but it's really, really good for you.
It's great. Little melodic, restricted practicing.
That's right.
As it were.
Exactly.
Good stuff.
Exactly.
Some folks are making requests for a certain gentleman. I don't know if he's allowed out. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? I don't even want to. Is that his name? He goes by many names. What?
tribute to our good friend Byron Lovelace, former fan of the show. I say former because there's no way he listens to this anymore.
He's out of Milwaukee, right?
Milwaukee.
I like those little changes you were playing now.
Oh, you're just messing.
So this is a good, we were just messing around, but highly recommend, I mean, if you've got a pod suite and a friend, even better, but finding some type of situation where you can just challenge your, whoa, is that okay? Okay.
I think it's got to be okay.
Okay, I'm going to fix that in a second. So, where we can challenge ourselves to hear something that we don't know what's happening without thinking about it.
Yeah.
Okay? So you have to, a lot of times people spend more time talking about, I don't have good ears or I can't play something by ear than saying, you know what, let me try to play something by ear. It's like saying, I'm a bad cook. I can only cook with recipes. Really, if that's all you've ever done, until you've tried to cook without a recipe, just to make something up and failed, utterly failed, and then tried it again and utterly failed, and then tried it 10 more times and then maybe slightly less failed, all of a sudden you can contradict your original supposition about yourself. So this is how you develop your ears. You have to put yourself on the ledge. You have to go out on the diving board, or you're not going to be able to jump into the deep end.
That's right. Mike is actually asking, how did you guys approach ear training? Well, Micah, that's an ongoing thing. And actually, here at Open Studio at the Daily Guided Practice session, we've been doing, I think they can just see the chordy now.
Oh, okay.
We've been doing this ear training, Micah, and we could do a little bit of it right now. It's so useful, and it's a technique that I learned in my ear training class by the great Armin Danilian when I was at the
Who?
school.
Spell that name, buddy.
Armin like Armenia. Danilian like Danilian.
Like a chameleon.
Like a chameleon. But no, he's a great pianist and a great teacher. And we can do a little bit of this, but it helps to have a friend that can help you do this. It's super easy, and we could.
I've got a friend.
That's right. So we'll kind of go off what we were just doing. So Micah, and we can, and just I would like just to say now, if you're near a piano, sit on your hands. Do not hunt and peck these chords out. Or try to figure out the root or anything. Use your ears. Use your mind. That's what this is all about. So if I give you this and say, this is an A flat major 7, right?
I want you to tell me, see?
Well, no, I'm going to tell you this one.
Okay.
This is our starting point.
Okay.
I'm just going to give you one other chord after this, and you have to tell me what it is, okay? A flat major 7. What's this? Do it 2 more times. A flat major 7. Can you hear the bass note, and can you hear the quality of the chord? In other words, is it major? Is it minor? Is it a major 7? Is it a minor 7? Is it a dominant 7? A flat major 7, and one more time. What is that? Right? Peter, what do you got?
Well, that would be an A flat major to an E flat major 7.
That's right. A flat major 7 to an E flat major 7. Let's do 2 chords off of it. So
can I just point out one thing?
Yeah, please do.
Everyone can have a different reference point. Doesn't matter. But eventually you just kind of know it by instinct.
For sure.
You can make a connection like, I was thinking like.
Linking up those dots certainly helps.
Play a little connect the dots. Like music is the harmony, the way it moves, the way chords move is never static. There's always a progression of things.
The way Armin used to teach this is via cadences. Right, so if you learn musical cadences, you can hear it as a whole, right, as like a whole thing, which we'll kind of work on here. So again, let's do 2 chords after this, right? A flat major 7, and then we can do. Okay, so again, we'll do an A flat major 7, and then we'll do 2 chords after it. What are they? Peter's already got it. He got everything on the first.
Am I allowed to do this? Is this helping or hurting? Okay.
Again, A flat major 7. Let's do one more. What is this? And then what is this? You got it. So the answer to that is
bonus.
Bonus. A flat major 7, right? A little A flat over B flat.
Yep.
Right? Or B flat 11 sus or whatever you want, and then an E flat minor 7. Minor 3rd, minor 7, right?
Now I don't know if Professor Armenia
Armin.
Armin, sorry, taught it this way, but now are you thinking before you get to the point, like what are the steps to get to where you just hear it and you recognize it because you've heard it so many times, like probably you or I and a lot of people, or like the intermediate steps? How much do we want to sort of intellectualize, like major, minor, augmented, diminished, root movement? Like what are the steps to get there?
I always tell people I've had more like success thinking about it in blocks, just thinking about the texture of the right. I don't know how you feel about that.
I like that.
I'm not thinking about individual notes on this.
Right.
I just know this from every single sus chord reference I've ever heard. You know what I mean?
So you are listening to the quality, like as a static point, like what that chord is.
Yeah.
But there's also the process of like where you're coming from,
right?
So that you know at least what type, not only what type of chord, but what the actual chord is.
Yeah. So I'm also defining the Roman numeral thing here. So if I hear this, if I were to hear this, right? If I were to hear, right, I'm going to hear this as the 1.
Yeah.
Right. So when you do this again, 4, 5, and I'll hear that 13 now.
Yep.
And then 1, and then again 2. If you could learn some basic piano voicings,
yes,
this goes a long way, because even if you're not listening to a piano, if you know some basic structures of voicings, whenever an orchestra plays this chord, you know, oh, that's that 6/9 voicing, right?
Yeah.
You know, or you know, oh, that's that major 7 voicing with the 5th on top. It's like you start to recognize the feel of voicings themselves.
Yes. Yep. And then there's the now if you either pay attention or even learn a little bit of bass, on the piano or on an actual electric bass or acoustic bass or whatever, or just really start to kind of key into the melodic movement and how it informs the actual harmonic form of a progression like this or a cadence, that can really help. And that's really just about being able to hear stuff from around here and lower. So you heard him do the... Oh, actually, I think you did... You had the 5th on top?
Yeah.
And then... So... You can get the qualities of the chords, but if you can hear that whole step as an interval, wherever it's going, and then minor third, that kind of thing, you're gonna be able to start to kind of process by elimination. If you know that that's a whole step. Now, as far as a cadence, where can we go? Whereas, like, you almost are guessing where all the different parts. That's what I was thinking.
Right,
you're
gonna hear that, but what if it goes to like? Oh, we went to.
Oh yeah,
you have to understand those false cadences too.
Right, sure. But yeah, so that would be all the different.
Totally. B major 7, D flat major 7. Yeah. Oh. G flat major 7.
Yeah. And then what about this?
Oh. Yeah, know your own cadences.
Yeah, so like you're starting to practice ear training. Try to hear all the different possibilities if you don't have somebody there to test you, and then to play it and see if what you were hearing, and you can sing it if you're not sure that you're really hearing it, and then play it to make sure that it matches.
Pick and Stone, Alex, are you saying that Armin has a book? I didn't even know Armin had an ear training book. It'd be great.
Armin Hammer has a book about baking soda. Are you familiar with that one?
I did not know.
Armand Hammer and philanthropy. If
Armin has an ear training book, you should all get it, because he's one of the best teachers I've ever had, and he's a great player too.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Oh,
there you go. Training the Ear, Volume 1. Get it.
Now let's just us talk about how to train ear, and then you relay stories from him as opposed to us referencing the book. Maybe we'll throw that in our recommended. We have to check it out.
Also,
maybe someone will get it for us.
By the way, I don't know. I haven't told you this, but I have on deck. I'm going to be recording my own open studio 5-minute ear training course here coming up in December. So
really, because I just called Armin to see if he would. We're gonna do the same thing.
Damn it! Giving it away.
Rob asks, "What's up, Rob? From just down the street here. Hey guys, for a horn player, also known as a hone player."
No, here in St. Louis, that's known as a horn player.
Horn player. Well, it depends on how far south you are. For a horn player learning jazz piano, any tips for how to figure out inner voicings? I can only hear outer voices, top line and bass. But how do you get started on transcribing voicings? So actually what we were just working on, that kind of ear training, I think will help a lot. But always there's the, any kind of 4-part chorale, hymnals, Methodist hymnals, Presbyterian, Bach 4-part. If you play 3 on piano, I know you're saying horn, but you're learning jazz piano, so that's going to start to acclimate your ears to hearing on the inside. Then you need to take it to kind of 2 jazz harmonies. So I think if we think about things, let's see if we can get this going, but not that. If we think about, no, yeah, exactly. Okay. Some basic shell +1, or what is that? Root shell pretty? What do we call that?
Yeah, root shell pretty, man.
Root shell pretty.
That's our jam.
So we got F713. So if you think about the melody that maybe you're feeling like you can hear better, like that, and then that's at the bottom. In the middle is the shell. You want to be able to sing those. And then to the place you're going. Just be able to hear something before you play. All the things you are is good for this, because that can kind of back you into a nice 4-part, kind of. Sloppy Joe Jones
style.
So that's a good way to start hearing it. And then, as far as transcribing voicings, that's always tricky because there's no guarantee it's going to be 4. That's really just trial and error. And then also learning different pianists, like, So like being able to hear, okay, he leaves that 4th voicing. Is he going to 3 notes or is he going to 4? You got to kind of try it, stop it, try it, stop it. And the great thing about that is as you're doing all that, you're really training your ear. So I think about all the hours, the 100,000, the 10,000 hours I spent transcribing, McCoy Tyner, Wynton Kelly, Art Tatum, all these people. It wasn't so much the licks that I got. It was just like the ear training, that ear training, that process of going through it that really, really helped.
We got a question from Philly23.
What's up, Philly? I don't see.
It says, "Happy holidays, piano jazz dudes. Can we play on the 2/5 of the 4 chord of the blues? That, for example, you were playing an F to go outside." So if you're talking about like, if you're an F. So just doing a 2/5, it doesn't really take you outside. None of that is really outside of the harmony. You could do a tritone substitution and a 2/5 to that, like an F sharp minor 7 to a B7. So if you're on F, you could do that, right? Just like a F sharp minor 7, B7 into your B flat.
So like a tritone sub of what he's talking about, the 2/5 of the 4.
I think so. Yeah. I think that's Philly23. Maybe clarify. Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, because if you're going straight, that's just that, right?
Yeah, there's nothing too far out for that.
Yeah, I like that one. I'll even sometimes go. So now we're gonna go from the 1 to the 4.
Was that from the half step below?
Half step below.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Is that even legal?
No. So let's redo that because that's really good. So you're going like. Like a little E minor 7, A7.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
I'm gonna do it again. I'm gonna see if I can do it here. I think I've overdone it.
That's cool.
Really
you
nice.
might recognize it from.
Oh, that's where I've heard that before. Whew.
this is a little thing well, Peter Bernstein described it as, he heard me do it on another tune, something similar to that. He's like, man, that's a great little compositional thing. He said, you're taking a simple bluesy melody and putting some fancy chords underneath it. But it was I was like, yeah, but I mean, it's a really good compositional tool to use when you're juxtaposing one thing that's unusual with one thing that's super traditional, and somehow it kind of meets in the middle. There's a lot of different examples of this. We talk about, in like two horn riding, big band riding, all different ways to approach this. But basically, the melody, and then and then hit him back with a little bit of straight blues. Not that there's anything wrong with just staying in the straight blues, but Hey man, some of these notes don't work down here.
The Rhodes notes don't sound good on the 88 keys.
No, they don't.
They don't even work.
Don't even the E.
Don't even worry about it. Don't even worry about it. Not even necessary. That's how realistic these sounds are.
Exactly. Would it have killed them to go just a couple more? Okay.
I know. Picket Stone says, I got a heck of a question.
All right.
If you were to change anything in music education, what would you change and why?
Everything.
I'm doing a project on the subject, so I'm curious. There's a lot there, Picket Stone. Adam Neely actually had a great video on sort of the systemic racism in music theory. I shared that on my social media and got so much so much pushback for it. I actually don't understand the problem of having the conversation of analyzing where what we're learning is coming from, especially because for so many of us, especially if you play any kind of modern American music, so much of classical music theory is just not relevant or important. Not only that, but it actually can be like detrimental to how you learn the music. We have to retrain people who learned via classical music all the time how to use their ears. Yes. I think you're a rare case where you're lucky enough to come up with really hip classical musician parents, and we're in that world from an early age, but learned very early on to use your ear to learn things.
Yeah.
To me, that is the biggest disconnect, is that if you look at the culture of the music that you're trying to learn and they don't have anything like that was written down for a very long time, it was just all passed down musician to musician, should you be learning then from a notation that was handed down from Haydn to so on and such forth? Like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, to me, there's so much that is missing from Western notation.
Yeah.
With what we make today, it's almost irrelevant to, I
like it. Getting political.
Well, dude.
Getting dogmatic. I like it.
Listen, if Paul McCartney can write Eleanor Rigby without knowing how to read music, I'm all on board. Like, I'm all for that. And if you know what I mean, like, I understand that it can be very, me, I'm a notation nerd. I love writing music and I love using notation, but I just think trying to teach a style of music or a whole school of music that just did not come up really with notation as an important part of its transfer is folly. And I think that's where we are.
Yeah. I totally agree. And I think even just from a practical standpoint, as much as the political side of it is a whole other thing that's very real. But sometimes it's just, by some people, it's probably done by accident. But the idea that if we think about music at its root level, let's get to the root, of it being a language, and I know that that's like, people hear that and then they're like, yeah, but come on, tell me the chord changes. Come on, give me the real stuff, But these fundamental things about music are so important because you can use them to frame your development forever. And so in terms of education, what more is more important than, yes, teaching correct fingering and all these things that we got from wonderful teachers that we had? Yes. But I think a fundamental understanding and framework and really just mindset of this being a language, and that we can immerse ourselves, get excited about, get passionate about learning a language. I mean, it's the same ways that a lot of times foreign language in the U.S. especially, which is perhaps not taught. I mean, sometimes it's taught wonderfully. Big shout out to all the great teachers. But sometimes the joy is sucked out of it when you have to read and you have to conjugate and you have to learn the grammar, as opposed to like you learning French. Let's get some croissants out and let's just put the beret on and start speaking the language. Hopefully I'm not offending anybody. But you know what I'm saying? Like, let's immerse ourselves and jump right in
Yeah.
to the sound of it. And that's what's so great about music. So yes, we want to learn all these different elements, but let's not codify it too early in the development. So I think, you know, that's
Which
why
is exactly what we do, by the way, in most cases of music education. Sorry.
Yeah. Well, no, you mean too early.
Too early, it's all written. Like, imagine
Yeah.
learning French and never hearing French.
I know.
Or not having someone speak it to you.
Right.
You're just reading it out of a book, and whatever you produce is, you know, or your teacher produces. You know what I mean?
Yep.
As opposed to moving to Paris for 6 months, you would be much more fluent moving to Paris.
It's Paris.
Paris.
We'll talk
You know
about
what I'm
that.
saying?
Yeah. Well, and so along those lines, you know, one of my teachers, I mean, my mom was my first violin teacher. And then when we moved to St. Louis, I got a chance to study with a wonderful teacher named Eiko Kataoka, Japanese woman who played in the St. Louis Symphony, that actually I think my mom wanted to kind of study with, because she was one of the first children that studied with Suzuki in his experiment, like in the 50s or 60s in Japan.
That's
he was
dope.
in that first class and was from Matsumoto, Japan. And so she happened to be here, but her story was very interesting. She was an amazing violinist. Her husband was a great cellist, but she was so immersed in the learning by ear, she didn't learn how to read music at all. And so then she auditioned. I guess she sent a tape to, I think it was Indiana or Oberlin, one of the really top conservatories in the States, because it was like, that was the dream to come to the U.S. And she sent this audition, and she was accepted at like age 16.
Just by hearing her.
By hearing her, by her playing.
Yeah.
Then they found out she couldn't read music, and she almost didn't get in, but she was so good they let her in. But they were like, you have to learn to read music. In like 2 months before she was going to come over, she learned to read music. Like, that was the easy part.
Because she already knew how to play music.
Exactly.
It's really, then it's just figuring out what all these symbols mean.
Right.
But if you're just trying to, listen, reading music, if you're an orchestral musician, is the main part of your job. Getting a great sound and being able to read music and being able to do it fast is so crucial for those people. For people who do shows and, you know, show bands and things. I mean, there are gigs where reading is important. It's such a minuscule part of I think the musical landscape these days.
Word.
That why don't we have a better way of teaching music so that it's more relevant to what people are, what most people are listening to. And I don't mean that in just like pop music or hip hop or whatever, you know, this old guy wants to put on it. Yeah. I'm talking about literally just everything we listen to. I mean, if you like Al Green, there's no scores lying around that Memphis recording studio.
Oh, no.
You know what I mean? Like let's learn how to get those sounds.
There's some blunts laying around from that session. Yeah, absolutely. So that would be one thing. Anything else we were changing about? Well, the only other thing I would say about music education, and I think this is done very well. We have so many great music teachers, and especially here in the Midwest, this is kind of a bastion. I mean, all over the country, all over the world. Big shout out to all the teachers. We love you and we need you continued at all levels. But we have a plethora of still great band directors and orchestra directors and private instructors here around the Midwest, which is great in some communities. But to me, it's like music education. Don't suck the joy out of it. And I think some of this, like we were talking about having to read music or whatever, but also like if music isn't fun on some level, now it can be a challenge, especially it is a challenge as you get better. But if you're not having fun at it, I think, you know, it becomes our responsibility at a certain point. But when you're younger and when you have a teacher, I think it's the responsibility of the teacher to expose it, to present it in a way that's fun. And it is done that way. I mean, it's such a fun thing. There's many things that are a lot harder to pull the fun out of for most people. But music is such a universal language. You know, be it classical music, be it jazz, be it reggae, be it, I mean, you know, many different things. But I mean, if we look at typically the way, just learning to play simple, you know, I mean, if you're coming and beating them with a ruler on their hands, it's not gonna be fun, right? But if you're singing along, and you know, I love music. I don't know if I have any faults, it's that I love music too much.
So Buzz makes a point here, and this is, I think, something we can push back against. Aren't we glad that there was a written language to convey much of value of many cultures around and forward in time? Isn't it simply a technology of efficiency? Art is long, life is short, which is true. And now the technology, Buzz, is that we can record what sounds we make. So we actually don't need the written language of it to convey to future generations what we do. They're going to be able to hear, and we can already listen to Louis Armstrong, who's passed away long ago, and how he sounded. And wouldn't it be better, instead of having all of Bach's written music, if we could actually hear him play some of those organ pieces. I would love to hear him play his own preludes.
Right.
That would be amazing to hear Chopin play his etudes instead of just reading the book. That would be, I think, a much better experience.
Right.
So for me, I think we spend a little too much energy on that, but I get a little worked up.
Well, but I think too though that this is a good point in terms of calling it technology of efficiency. Is simply, and that's actually what can shape the chronology and how quickly an art form or a musical form moves along and develops. So you look at at the time, written music was how it got spread around the world eventually, but like this kind of European classical music, and then there was music in Asia, there was music in Africa, there was different areas, and some of them started to write it down, some of them distributed other ways. But once you get into recordings, and like because that sort of coincided the beginning of recorded, not common but available recording technology, kind of with the birth of jazz, that moved things along very quickly because that sound, everybody liked that sound, but had it been only written, it would have taken a lot longer to get it. Like you would have had to physically hear somebody playing that in order to be able to connect with it and then be like, wait, I want to do that. I mean, it's kind of like all these, once basketball, Michael Jordan in the 80s and early 90s, they're broadcasting his stuff all over the world. The little kids are seeing, wow, I want to do that. Had they not seen that, they had to wait for somebody to come be a basketball superstar in that neighborhood. They might not have ever gotten that bug to want to, play.
So Buzz follows up. You would learn a Beethoven sonata by rote. I think that would be very good to do. It would be good for your ears if you could do that.
That would be. Cool. Let's just see what else we got here. What's up, Zach? Oh, this is funny. Sorry, I'm late. My office scheduled a conference call during. I hate it when they do that. What's up with that? You know what I'm saying? I mean, clearly we publish our schedule in advance, so tell your office to get with it. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Joe says, "Quit that terrible job." Cool. What else we got, Adam?
I'm just looking up through here. Let's see.
Another thing we were talking about earlier about ear training, what you can do is like if you learn something like the thing that you played for me, Adam, what was that? E flat major, and then you were going to like a 4 minor.
Yeah.
Something, anything that say is new, and then you start to kind of hear it. Take the rest of the day, or maybe even the week, or a couple of days, to like see what you can do with that same concept by placing it in different areas. Different keys is certainly an easy way to do, but it could also be like. And then maybe so you go to the 4, and then you turn that into the major. Then that becomes the major to the 4 minor. And then at a certain point, just try to start going for it. Don't even think about where you're going. And you might mess one up, but then fix it. Because you really want your ears to start working on an unconscious level. Like that's the dream. So sometimes just learning things, practicing things, working on intervals, working on root movements, those are the elements that'll help. But you'll get to a point where it's like, okay, I can hear all this stuff, but I'm having trouble connecting the dots and making it automatic. And so that's a lot of times when people stop because they say, oh, I just don't have good ears. I've gotten as good as I can do, but I can't go next level. And I want to encourage you to have a growth mindset with this because ears are some of the easiest things, simplest things, sorry. But it's time consuming, but it's a very simple thing in terms of repetition, challenging, learning, challenging yourself. But you've got to be willing to continually go over to the edge. So like when we do this stuff, playing around, playing stuff with each other, everybody's always thinking we've prepped. We haven't prepared any of this stuff. We literally don't talk about it.
We
refuse to talk about it. But what we get out of that is a little bit of challenge and a little bit of ear training. So you can put yourself in that position every day. And in fact, you should.
All right, me and Buzz now we have an internet flame war going on. No, it's good stuff, man. It's great discussion. Buzz follows up with, it would be interesting to see you start that Beethoven project and share your experience, Adam, and then learn them all that way. Good luck, LOL. So this is my point, though. So that Beethoven, I'm not talking about Beethoven, though, Buzz. I'm talking about modern music post the invention of sound recording, and we're learning things like Miles Davis and Al Green and Taylor Swift or whatever with the way that we were taught Beethoven, and it's a completely different thing. The people that make the music don't use the way that Beethoven used to communicate the music, and yet that's still where our music education is stuck. It's stuck in the 18th century. And so that's what I'm saying is like we need to get out of that. We're missing so much information that we can get now from recordings.
Yeah.
And with that you just can't get with notation. Can you get Wynton Kelly's eighth note with notation? It would be impossible. So that's all I'm saying, Buzz. I actually wouldn't learn Beethoven by ear because that music was developed to be passed down via notation. But I'm saying the music we listen to now was not passed down via notation. So why are we attaching this notation to it when it doesn't tell the whole story? It doesn't tell anything about the.
I like it.
Now that there's been advancements in the art of recording, it certainly doesn't talk about that stuff in the notation.
Right.
About how much reverb is on the guitar and but things that are important to the sound of the song. About how much compression is there. There's no notation for that. That's all using your ears and understanding how modern music works.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's important also. None of this stuff is all or nothing. Like we want a combination. Like there's the exception of actually like my teacher, she actually learned Mozart violin concertos by ear. I mean, like that was because she had gone through this. Book 9 and Book 10 are both two of the Mozart, so that very much can be done. And I mean, her ear was very well developed. But the thing about it is, these musics, like different musics and genres, develop in the time that they exist.
Right.
So they're consumed, they're learned, they're handed down in different ways. I think that your point, which is a very important one, is like, let's not just thoughtlessly, for whatever reason, just take this one system that existed a couple hundred years ago and apply that technology to today, when the actual manifestation of the music and stuff comes out of another sort of technology to hand it around.
That's right.
Travel, you talk about, recording,
word of mouth.
Travel, word of mouth is able to happen where people can hear this stuff all around the world. And then, it's not just learning the recordings. It's like being able to hear it at a club and then going home and trying to figure it out by ear.
And Buzz is saying these are not mutually exclusive approaches, which is what I'm saying too. I'm just saying one is super underrepresented in music education. Yeah. I do note. I like orchestration, and I do a lot of arranging for large ensembles. I'm a notation nerd. I think it's super valuable and is a huge part of my musical life. I also think that in education, that other part where we say you need to transcribe this, and people are like, I've never transcribed anything before, and they're a professional musician. How does that work? Like, how do you get to a point where you've never picked anything off of a recording when we've had 100 years now of recordings? You know what I mean? It's just part of it that I think is lacking in our music education system. I do think they can occur concurrently. I just think it's way out of balance, and it's getting to the point where it's so arcane that it's getting ridiculous.
And I think too, it's like for music education, it would behoove, and you see a lot of great teachers doing this in, not just in music, but it's like how, not that you have to pander to every single different kid, but everybody learns in different ways. And so like the way that we learn music, first of all, I think there's very, very rarely anybody that needs to learn music less by ear. Said nobody like, oh, I did too much ear training. My ears are too good, So there's always that. But I think that we want to learn things and acknowledge that people learn in different ways. We have visual learners. We have, all these different things. So give people a chance. And now I want to just jump to one question because we are running short of time here from our friend Noriko, and she says, any difference, because this kind of, I think, ties in a little bit with the newer technology too and the traveling of music, any difference of American and non-American musicians in terms of improvisation? I say no.
Not anymore. Maybe at one time, yes, but not anymore.
But not as like as a stereotype or not a stereotype, but as like a whole. You couldn't say that there's something inherent to the way somebody plays. Now, I think your musical context, your musical heritage, your musical frame of reference, like what you've heard, what you've learned, the way that you feel a beat or whatever, that's always going to affect you. And I think there's times when different geographical places around the world, kind of breed you to hear music in a certain way. But there's always enough exceptions to that, i.e. you've got, I mean, the thing that I know that we know the best, jazz music, you've got people from every corner of the world that I've heard that can really excel in terms of their improvisation and their ability to do that because they've steeped themselves in the skills and the sounds and the actual skills that you need to be able to improvise, as opposed to getting into a thing of like, this is a cultural thing that only applies to a certain part of the world.
Cool. This is a great discussion. Thanks, Buzz, for the back and forth. That's really awesome things to think about. And hey, listen, it's never going to be a perfect system. There's always going to be, a balance issue for anything like this, and there's always going to be ever-changing ways that we communicate this stuff to each other.
Yep.
So
folks too are asking about ear training apps, and that's something that we always, every time we talk about this, we're like, we need to get into this.
No, I'm telling you what, man, 5-minute ear training, December, it's happening.
Oh,
it's happening.
Oh, is that gonna be an app? I thought it was gonna be a course.
It's gonna be a course, but
yeah.
Rob, I think Rob is a member here at Open Studio. He'll have access to it.
I know, but somebody was asking about it, like an app, and I'm sure there's good stuff because it'd be so easy to make. No,
don't even worry about the app.
Don't
just get the 5-minute ear training from Open Studio.
5 minutes?
Yeah, 5 minutes.
Okay. I like it. Cool. What else we got? We got anything? Okay. Oh, you know what today is?
What?
We almost forgot.
What's that?
It's Monday. Cyber Monday.
What
does that mean?
I don't know.
I don't know either. We celebrate it here, though. We you know what it is? We just make an excuse to have a discount. No,
it is a deep discount, though.
Yeah, we have a big discount. I can't even tell you exactly what it is. But if you go to openstudiojazz.com, I know it applies to everything. And so, of course, we had our huge Black Friday promotion. It's possible this isn't quite at that level, but it's so close. I don't even know what the marketing department decided upon. It's going to be so close that you're not going to mind.
It's 60% off lifetime courses.
Okay.
Yeah, and 40% off memberships.
Nice.
It's huge. It's still huge. So.
Yeah. So this is, this time of year is our biggest discount of the year. So that's going to end, I believe, tonight. And you're welcome at any time. But if you are sugar daddy or sugar mama lists in your life, as many of us are, this would be your time. If you don't care about money, come tomorrow. It don't
even
matter.
worry about it. Don't even worry about it. Yeah.
It's all good.
Yeah.
It's all good.
Where can they go for that?
You'd want to go to artistworks.com.
No,
sorry. No. openstudiojazz.com. openstudiojazz.com. I don't think you need a special code or anything. Everything's discounted today. And we're really excited about this because every time we do this, we get all these new folks, and that's what it's about for us. We're trying to, build a sustainable business and all that, but more importantly, we're trying to build a sustainable community. And so the more folks that we get, now look, full disclosure, we've had some people come and we're not their style. Basically, they hate first-class jazz education. What can I say? And it's not for everybody. You know what I mean? You know what? Christian McBride. Not everybody likes Christian McBride. I like Christian McBride.
Yeah.
I think he's good.
Yeah.
Sean Jones. I don't think you get any better than that, but some people feel differently. No, but all jokes aside, we're really excited over really this year. What has come to fruition is you and I and the whole team's dream of having this community of folks at all different levels in development, supporting each other, learning, sharing information. And we're so excited to kind of becoming that hub for that community. So when we do these big discounts, we get a lot of new folks, which is awesome. So if you're already a member, please come by and welcome new folks. And can we go public yet on JPA? No, can we talk about?
Well, it's already happening.
No, I know, but
Jazz Piano with Adam is a thing, and it's exclusive now, but it will be open to the public in 2021, New Year's Day. Also, look out for a possible bass access pass for our bass players. Maybe a
Christian McBride Daily Masterclass.
little subscription.
Can we guarantee that?
Oh, Rich says, today's the first anniversary of my purchasing an Open Studio Piano Pass, one of my better investments. Thank you, Rich.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. We have smart folks coming in this time of year, which is super awesome, and we hope for everybody that's coming in today that you will be like Rich a year from now and still with us and excited about that. I think we're good, right? Oh, we're gonna invite you to the podcast. Some folks are YouTube only. Did you know that?
No.
Because they don't know where to get the podcast.
They don't know the podcast?
That was my mom until recently.
No.
Yeah. She thought it was like a paid thing, and she didn't want to do it. I told her it's right there on her iPhone.
Even if it was a paid thing, wouldn't you be like, Mom, I can hook you up?
No, she doesn't.
You're my mom.
She's not a freeloader. But she also doesn't think our content's worth paying for. It's a weird combination.
She wants to support her son, but not that much.
Yeah, but you can check us out wherever you get your podcast. Google Play, Apple Podcast. Let's be honest. Everyone gets it on Apple, right? Stitcher, got a couple, but not many.
If you do Android, just hit us up here.
Yeah, hit us up at android@adammaness.com, and you'll be able to get that. Oh.
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks a lot. We'll see you next week.
Later.
Peace.
Later.